Hey everyone, John Henry here, slingshotfutures.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at Andrew's Pitchfork. Now, Andrew's Pitchfork is a tool that I'm sure a lot of you have heard of, but maybe you've never really used, or maybe you used it and you're like, what the heck is this thing doing? Because it doesn't really, if you've never heard of it before, you don't know what it does, it can be kind of confusing because it just doesn't look right. Is it a channel tool or what the heck is it? So the Andrew's Pitchfork is a tool that utilizes a singular move and then projects it out and then draws a median line. So what I mean by that is if I were to draw, as an example, an ABCD pattern, right? If I had an ABCD pattern in the markets, what I could use the Andrew's Pitchfork for is to draw from the bottom to top, and then I would select the third point, which would be that swing low, and it will project out from there. So it's essentially like taking this, moving it up here, and then drawing a line from the middle points, right there to there. And that's where you get the pitchfork. That's all it is. It's a very simplistic tool. Now, I'm not utilizing it as though it were a channel tool or anything like that, but the way that I like using it is seeing, is the market following through with a specific way that it should be, right? Now, what I mean by that is, let's take a look at the Andrew's Pitchfork. And let's say I want to see, is this market healthy to the downside? Does it look like it actually wants to fall here? So if it looks like it actually wants to fall here, what we should see is if I draw from the top to the bottom and then project that leg out, we should see the market stay within the bounds of the middle to the top, right? That would be typical if the market were transitioning down. Now, if we start breaking outside of that, that's showing us that something is wrong. The buyers are taking over in that case, and something is wrong from the sell perspective. So what we can do is we can utilize it in two different ways. We can look to see who is actually controlling the market. So if I wanted to draw from bottom to top and then drag it down, I can see that the market is staying inside of the bounds of this bullishness. But I can also see that if I draw it on the downswing, right, if I draw from top to bottom and then project out, the market's trying to break out of the bullishness, but it hasn't, or the bearishness rather, but it hasn't really done so yet, kind of, sort of. It's iffy, right? So this is a challenge zone, or a zone of contention where the market's having a little bit of a hard time. And this is a really good way to see, is the market going the direction that you think it's going, or is it kind of pulling back a little bit further than maybe you wanted it to? It's a great way to really kind of discern the market moves. And if we go back, we can see several examples of this. So if I draw the Andrew's Pitchfork, let's say that I wanted to see a bigger picture from the bottom to top, this whole swing right here, and I go all the way out. I'm not using this as a channel tool. I don't care if it comes down to the bottom or anything like that, but what I do care about is the market staying inside of this range, right? Is it moving in this direction? Is it following through with what you would expect to see in a bull market? And in fact, this one actually went a little bit more bullish. It broke above the range and continued higher. So that gave us some clues that the market is potentially, obviously, bullish, but it's getting even more aggressively bullish when it's moving higher. And we can utilize the exact same method when we're going down. This nice little shove to the downside. We can draw this from the top to the bottom, and then we can look at it like that and see, is this bear move viable, or is it having a little bit of trouble? And in this case, it was having a little bit of trouble. It broke out of the fork, and it just really wasn't following along. It doesn't mean that it can't go lower, but it means that there's something potentially wrong with that move down, and it might be a little bit weaker than you might think it is. So it's a really good way to kind of do a market health checkup and see, is this healthy, or is this just kind of falling apart? Something definitely useful to consider if you haven't used it before. So that's the Andrew's Pitchfork. It's a very simplistic tool, but it can give you a lot of insight in what's going on in the markets. So that's going to do it. Hopefully you found it useful, interesting, entertaining, maybe something you can add to your tool belt while you're looking at these highly volatile markets. But that's going to do it for this one. As always, if you have any questions about it, feel free to shoot me an email, jbrink@slingshotfutures.com. Until the next one, we'll see you all then. Thanks.